Before we play The Falling Frank, please consider subscribing or following us via the links below. Drop a like and share if you enjoy, and leave a comment with your thoughts on the games. We hope you enjoy the pod.
Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his
The Wigan Way podcast is brought to you by Cherry and White Pins, a local Wigan Warriors themed pin badge company with a variety of Wigan ranges. You can get free shipping on all orders when you use the code The Wigan Way, that's The Wigan Way, all in capitals, at checkout. Thanks to them for supporting the show.
So, we're back now for a Easter weekend, a rival round, a Good Friday review. And lads, it was a very, very good Friday. Any Good Friday that involves beating them men is a good one in my books. How's it been since the win?
Yeah, excellent. And two big wins since I was last on the show with Hull Care away and St Helens at home. We said just before those two fixtures, if we can win both of these, we'll be very happy buddies, and here we are.
Yeah, we've dropped off some big wins this season, haven't we? Warrington in Vegas, Hull Care away, Saints at home, claiming a couple of big scalps already this season as well. So, yeah, all good. It was a good Friday, wasn't it? Got to the pub, watched the whole derby beforehand, had a walk down to the stadium, went out for a couple of drinks after it and stuff. So it was a good Easter weekend, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Very good atmosphere. Obviously, we've got to mention that 24,000 people on.
Yeah.
Really buzzing. The ground was loud. There was a loud away support.
There weren't an empty seat.
No.
You know, it was packed.
It's around broke Super League attendances, didn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Was it like the best attended rivals round or something?
Yeah,
like
I think
that?
so.
I saw,
And I suppose Wigan are at home and Hull FC are at home, and they have bigger stadiums than their rivals. You had Leeds Bradford in there, you had Catalans Toulouse in there.
When you look,
Warrington Witness, imagine if all the big teams were drawn at home for rivals round. It would never happen. You'd crack 100,000 easily.
with that, obviously, Catalan played Salford, and that got about 8,000, a little bit lower than you would expect. That could have touched 10. And maybe Lee bring a few more against Warrington. I thought that might have been a sellout. Both teams in a similar position. Should we get into this game then? Obviously, starting off, pre-game, the only real selection thing that we had before the team was announced was, would Brad O'Neill start, or would Cruz Lehman carry on starting?
Yeah, well, we're pretty confident Walters would be still starting prop, because that worked quite well at Hull KR. It was just a case of would Lehman or Brad start at 9 this game, and he kept it the same with Lehman starting.
Yeah, I'm okay with that for a few more weeks, and then once Brad's at full fitness, I think he starts.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a thing they're doing for building back up to fitness. I don't think this is the long-term thing moving forward. I think they're still easing him in. He's been out for a good while, hasn't he? So he'll need to be eased back in and coming off the bench 20 minutes either side of it,
It's been a long time out, like you said, since August, but he's not really missed a step when he's come onto the field.
No.
He's been fantastic, especially with his defence.
Well,
He's known for it in his defence. That's what we love about it.
his first thing in this game was crunching Matty Lees in his first tackle. And Matty Lees isn't an easy guy to tackle.
Good ball carrier. He crunched Percival as well. He's one of the better ball carriers in the league out to yardage, and he crunched him as well.
Big news before the game. We got the news about 10 minutes before the game kicked off, was that Mago had pulled out and Forber came on the bench. Bit of a weird one, really. We didn't have much options to really bring someone onto the bench.
I don't know who we could have put on. We could have put Farmond on, I suppose, but then how do you get him into the game?
Well, the options were Taylor Kerr, Forber, Farrimond and Douglas. And not one of them is a prop forward that you're realistically going to use, or a second rower that you could realistically use. And I don't think he was ever going to play Taylor Kerr for his first game.
No, if you're going to make your game like, you've got to be ready to make it. You can't just get thrown in 10 minutes beforehand against St Helens.
Yeah. So the game kicked off. Obviously, Mago out was a little bit of an issue. Did it bring any concerns to you massively?
It did hugely, actually, because already we were 2 props down, our best 2 props down. And when we were still sitting in the pub with the team news, I was thinking our bench is fantastic. And then all of a sudden we've only got really one. I mean, who could we bring on off the bench? A couple of props.
There was Hill and Dupree.
And then
2 nines.
And then 2 nines, and it just felt like, well, we haven't got that. It felt like their front row could have overwhelmed ours, especially when now we couldn't bring on Mago.
Yeah.
And we couldn't roll them. It just felt like, and this is how the game kind of went, with they made a few more metres, and you'd expect that. With the starting front row all fit, and our starting front row and our backup front row not fit. Yeah, it was.
Do we know why Mago was it? Because I've seen a couple. I heard virus, and then I've seen a couple of people saying hamstring.
Yeah, Pete said a hamstring.
Jenna Brooks
tightness.
said. Well, I watched the game back last night. Jenna Brooks said illness.
But then Pete's come out and said hamstring.
Yeah, because Mago was sat on the bench with everybody else.
Yeah.
Well,
so even if he was ill, you wouldn't risk that, would you?
I was going to say it was reported the other week that Mago's family had been struggling with the virus since Vegas, and then I'm guessing people just put 2 and 2 together and said, "Oh well, he must have this virus," and that's what's made him pull out at the last minute. But no, Pete said it was a.
It's a weird one, that though, isn't it? If you're giving, that means someone's told Jenna Brooks the wrong thing on purpose. Or she's asked the wrong person, maybe. I don't know. It just seems weird, that one.
She's just put 2 and 2 together and got 5.
I don't think you should do that.
But you wouldn't do that and then go and tell it, would you?
No, you wouldn't
say
do
it,
that.
You know what I mean? And then sit on. You make sure you got the story, you got your facts.
It was a big loss,
I'd like
though.
to think you would make sure you got your facts straight. It was, yeah, I agree. It was. I think the fact of again, it was another prop. I think that was the thing. No disrespect, everyone on this podcast knows how much I love big sexy Paddy Mago, but I think the fact that we knew we were down to two props out, and I mean 3. Given Havard and Thompson's out already, it was like, not another prop forward.
Yeah.
It was the fact for me that we didn't even have a second row to bring on like maybe if we'd had a Willie Icer in the squad and you could have brought him onto the bench.
Oh, well, he'd do a job at prop. Sub prop.
But we didn't have that. We were bringing Taylor Kerr in, which obviously with the injuries is unfortunate, but.
We brought Forber
Forber
onto the bench, and I suppose if the game went a certain way and we needed a half or a 9, I suppose
Lehman would have gone in there.
We could have put Lehman in there, and Forber could have been used. So I suppose there was that, and Forber, we all trust Forber absolutely because he's been fantastic for us whenever he's played. The game went a certain way, and I don't see why we could have got him on.
No, the only way he was getting on was if obviously we end up losing Dupree in the game. It's probably worth mentioning at this point while we're talking about props getting injured.
Yeah, another prop got injured.
Dupree got injured, and then a little bit of me thought he might play Brad O'Neill at 13 and use Ellis as a prop.
Big reshuffle that though.
It's a big reshuffle, but it was getting to the point where we had no other options.
Walters.
And there was a spell where we had Lehman and O'Neill on at the same time. So they did do that for a little spell, but obviously Ellis played 80 minutes.
I think he played 75.
Yeah.
76, 72. Big games we played.
Walters playing 65, and that was only because he got sin bin for 10. I think he literally went off for 5 minutes, then come straight back on. So he just got his breath back for 5 minutes, and they all stepped up this game. You couldn't fault any of them for the way they dealt with adversity and showed. Matty Pete often says in post-match interviews he's really proud of his team, and I bet he was proud of his team.
Yeah.
This game, how they dealt with adversity, that got thrown at them. They all just played big minutes, got through it, made the tackles, did what needed to be done.
Turn up when you needed.
Exactly.
We've all seen the documentary. Matty Pete stood on Bill and Jill saying them lot have grown up wanting to beat you. And the reason you play for my team is because when you get a chance, you beat St Helens. It means a lot, this game.
Yeah.
And when things don't go your way, through no fault of our own, it weren't our fault Mago got injured or Dupree got injured.
No.
But the others stepped up and solved that problem for us.
Yeah, you've got to deal with it, haven't you? And that's the case. No excuses.
Easier said than done that, though, when you get playing against Wormsley and Parsi and Delaney and Knowles and Lees. Siren and big forwards.
That's the only thing that mainly worried me about the Mago pull-out, was when I looked across the lineup, and you can see a matchup, can you? But we didn't have then that impact prop, and they still had Parsi off the bench, which just a little bit of concern there that, maybe...
They'll see it as a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
St Helens. How many times do you come up against Wigan away from home and 3 of the best props are missing, and it's 4 after half an hour, and they're down to 2 interchanges.
They've got 3, yeah.
They never
They're
get.
only really playing 3 off the bench because Forber's not going to come
But then
on.
Dupree fails the head test, so you're only really down to 2. So how often do you get that chance? You never do, really.
No, not at all. Right, should we get into this game? Obviously, we're going to open the scoring with a penalty goal. Took it to 2 points to 0, and Saints
Respond
with the one themselves, get the game to 2-2. Now, the scoring was opened 27th, 28th minute.
Well, you want to talk about the no try from Harry Smith?
Yes.
Harry Smith shown goal again, like he did last week against KR.
Yeah. Obviously, Smith had his try overturned.
Yeah, so there was a one-on-one miss. I can't remember who missed him in the middle of the park, who missed a tackle on Smith. Smith then gets through. Dupree has made a dummy run but gone straight through, clean through the line. And then as the defender's chasing back, he's got in the way. So it is obstruction, this, but it's a harsh one.
This annoyed me from Dupree a little bit, because I just think, you can see what's happening, just wait until he's past it. If Smith steps and goes, you can't react. You just sort of wait till the ball's got a little bit further away before you turn down and get yourself back on side. You don't want to be doing what he did, and unfortunately this meant that Smith missed out on a try, and
I don't know if it would have stopped him, the defender, but he would have had a chance. So I think you've got to chalk this one off. It was unfortunate, but it's
the right call for
Yeah,
me.
it was a no try.
It was a no try. But I do still think he would have scored.
Yeah.
I still think he would have scored, but you never know, do you? You've got to give that as a no
The
try.
thing is, Delaney could have a play at trying to knock
He could have
the
a try.
ball
He
out,
could try and stop him, yeah.
which
so
he's prevented
that's
from
why.
doing.
That's why his no try was correct.
So, Field opens the scoring. The 27th minute on the 30-metre line. Third tackle just to the right-hand side. And you can't really see it on the Sky coverage, but there's an alternate angle from behind. I don't know if you guys have seen it on Twitter.
Yeah.
When you look from behind, you can see Field and French chatting, and they're talking to each other, shouting something. And then Field drifts to the open side, on the opposite side of the ruck to French. And they've obviously spotted Sailor in the line.
This is a nightmare situation for fullbacks trying to number up, isn't it? When Field moves so late like this, and they're clearly planning something. I know we've tried this one before, and we've actually scored against St Helens from this before. I remember, I was thinking about it the other day.
It was like Smith to Bevan French, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, and I think we might have even had a Field try where we chipped over the top for somebody.
Yeah.
It might have been Smith chipped over for Field, I can't remember. Either way, when you see 2 players like that who you know can do anything, and then one of them moves late, you think, right, they've set something up here, I don't know what it is. That must be a nightmare situation for a fullback trying to number up, especially when you've not been playing fullback for a while.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, and that's probably where we're very lucky with having Field at fullback. Arguably one of the best brains in rugby, and very, very good at organising us. We very rarely seem to be numbered up wrong.
No, but I think in this situation with 2 players with the calibre of Field and French, I don't know how you number that up. It's so difficult at speed.
The one issue I have with this, if I was a Saints fan, is you've got French, Eckersley and Marshall on one side, and you've got 2 St Helens defenders, and then Sailor joins the line there. If Field comes that way, you're still outnumbered. I think you just need to get another one of your defenders there. And if Wigan can go through the hands and Marshall score in the far corner, then it's fair play
on that side. Miskey.
Yeah. If you can get all the way to the other side.
Or if you go left, you mean?
Yeah, if you can go all the way left.
Well done to you if you can do that.
Yeah.
I think once the numbers are wrong, that's the mistake. Sailor has to fix, because it's easy to go to all Sailor's out of position or whatever, but he has to jump in the line and solve the immediate problem that's there, which is the 3-on-2.
Yeah.
Once he does that, you've then got to kind of just say, right, you know what, I'm going to solve the problem in front of me. If they find a way and still score, fair play to
That's
them.
good execution.
Yeah, you've got to say fair play to them, but you've got to solve the immediate problem in front of you and think, if you can get round this and still create something, then fair play to
And I think that's where the mistake he makes is with the numbering up, which is very difficult because of how well this is set up. Once he then gets into the line, he does the right thing going into the line, I think.
Yeah,
because he means that you have to execute the play perfectly to score. Yeah. Whereas otherwise, you could just play simple through the hands and score.
Yeah. So O'Neill, very simple from 9, but just gives French early ball, good distribution.
Yeah.
French just does enough to interest Sailor, bring Sailor towards him, get his weight coming forward, and then he puts that lovely weighted kick in behind. And it's just perfectly weighted. Sits up really nice for Jay, collects it, grounds it, and scores, and that, under the sticks, makes it 8 points to 2. Now, it was only 4 or 5 minutes later that we actually then add to this, and we talk about the importance of scoring points back to back. It's something that we've done pretty well this year, really. Not scoring one and then doing nothing for the next 5-10 minutes and resting. We've actually been attacking on the next set and asked questions again. Good ball, good field position, last tackle, and Harry Smith puts a kick up. Difficult area, drops it right on top of Mark Percival, means he can't really contest it. Can't run at it, can't jump. If you're a defender, that's the worst place to be. If that kick landed on top of you, because you can't get a run at it. You can see and you can hear all the feet of people running
Tails
at you.
all this time, this, isn't it? Kicking from about 10 metres out and you drop it right on somebody's head and you can't get a jump up. I remember Joel Monahan scored a try in the grand final like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be as good in the air as you want, but if you got it dropped right on your head, you can't have a running jump. It's impossible to defend, really, if it's well done.
Well, there's a reason why the wingers drop deeper for these kicks. They almost start in the in goal.
Yeah.
So they can run at them, but
Come out to meet it.
But by pulling it back a little bit and not trying to drop it on the winger, instead trying to drop it on the centre or the second row, all your guys have got a free run effectively.
Yeah, and if I want somebody competing for the ball in the air, I think I'd rather have Eckersley than Miski with the Italians, you know.
Yeah.
But Eckersley, French, all contesting it. It makes it so difficult. Set of hands going round. Ball lands backwards. Miski collects and scores in the corner. It's took some time on the video ref, didn't it?
3 minutes, 14 seconds on the video referee.
It's a very strange one, that, isn't it? Because it's gone up as a try, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And the idea is, as far as I understand the rules, correct me if I'm wrong, the video ref has to be like almost 100% certain to be able to, in order to overturn the on-field decision. If you're looking at something for over 3 minutes, it's quite clear, not 100% certain. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, but I know last week though I did also say there was one where they took a decision, but they did get the right one. I think was it Hull KR in the Hull KR game.
Yeah.
I think it was Budgie. It was Budgie's no try where he went over the top of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I stand on that a little.
We want to get the decisions right, don't we?
We do, yeah. And if that maybe takes a bit more time, I don't know. For me watching it might be biased because I was a Wigan fan, but I just don't think you need to take 3 minutes. I could have told you after a minute that's a try.
The one thing that really frustrated me with this video ref call was he says the ball comes backwards towards the Wigan defensive line.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who it comes off then.
Yeah.
I don't know if he does say that.
Well, he said that it was French.
He said it's inconclusive. He ends up going inconclusive for which direction the ball travelled. That's why he gives this try. I think if this goes up as no try, it stays as no try. Because he said inconclusive.
Yeah.
He knows it comes off Wigan, but he doesn't know which direction it travels.
I don't know how you can't tell that.
Well, the camera angles are all wrong. Once again, we've got into a problem where the technology is letting the referee down, or the video referee down. You can't tell off these angles whether it's why we can't judge on forward passes. It's impossible to tell on these angles whether it goes forward or backwards. You can have a guess based on like where the hand travels. You don't know, do you?
We've had video refs now for how long? 20 odd years, and we're still talking about you can't tell. It just doesn't make sense to me. We've got to get better technology to keep up with the game. But he says inconclusive. Missy grounds it, and that makes it 12 points to 2. Now, just before half time, Moses Mbai.
Yeah.
Yellow card.
Dupree's off by this point, by the way. And I just wanted to say that St Helens, fans have been critical of their attacking structure and critical of how narrow they've played and how safe they've played. When Dupree got injured, it was tackle 3 or tackle 4, I can't remember. And it was right in front of the goalpost. Yeah, they don't get a quick play of the ball because Dupree's injured, but you get at least 2 minutes to set something up while he's injured getting treatment. And what did they do? They did 2 1-out carries and turned the ball over. That can't have been the plan.
No.
I think that for me is where I would be raging if I was a Saints fan, thinking we've got a chance here. Good ball, 2 tackles left. We could set something up here because there's been an injured player. Got someone coming on from the bench, so there's a bit of confusion there. But also, use that time wisely. Set up a plan.
The only thing I can think with that is that obviously Wigan's defenders are rested. So then you're thinking, well, if we throw a shot at them, they're only actually defending 2 tackles. So do we just
could come up with something? Though.
Yeah.
You could come up with something.
Yeah. It's like they took the boring option because there's only 2 minutes 30 left. You've got to back yourself to defend for a set. But I'm guessing that's what went through the red of, they're not fatigued now, so we'll just work them over in the middle. And it's just not.
Well, I don't know why if you've been working on a move in the training ground, this is your chance. How often do you get 2 minutes in
it's like
good
a scrum,
ball
isn't it?
to plan a move?
It's almost like a scrum.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because that's then basically giving the mentality of, well, if we don't have a quick play of the ball, no point trying.
The only way they were
more
going
to you attack than that. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the only way they were going to score was to crash over.
Yeah.
Which they did in the second half when I think he scored. Parsi.
So, Wigan bringing ball out from their own line. 2.5 minutes
this is
left.
just after that. That's why I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to mention that it was just after that.
And it is worth mentioning, I should say, how we get the ball back from this. Sam Walters was at the play of the ball, centre field, and in one attacking structure has run 25 metres and collected the offload on the inside, dove to the floor, and then managed to keep himself in the field of play to not turn the ball back over.
Has no right to be there as a prop forward.
No.
Now someone else
He's in
might
a
clean it
centre
up.
position. He's in a centre winger position. He's out near the touchline. He has absolutely no reason to be there as a prop forward, but just gets his. I said to you at that same point, I turned to you, didn't I, because we said to each other, just went, Sam Walters is all over this field.
He's everywhere.
He was everywhere. He had a fantastic game.
We'll dive into him later, but I thought it was just worth mentioning that actually we could have messed up. We could have got an offload. But someone else might have cleaned it up, but he's taking that responsibility to get there and help your mate out. Next tackle, Eckersley takes a big carry in from his own line, obviously a very set defence, and Moses Mbai. Direct shoulder to the head.
Yep.
Minimal arm wrap, in my opinion.
I think 0 attempt to arm wrap.
Yeah, I think it's just a consequence of
Contact.
being hit. The referee tried to play on.
Yeah,
tried to give knock on and a scrum. I can't believe this was missed alive.
I can. It was very quick, wasn't it?
It was quick, but all of them are quick. This game is so quick.
This is why we've got video refs.
But to see a one-on-one tackle and it's direct shoulder to the head, not get picked up immediately, I just really don't like that. That shouldn't have been missed.
Well, then he said scrum. Saints tried to form a scrum quickly and play it. He said, no way. Video ref's telling me I need to check this. And then he checks it and gives me a yellow card.
The problem with this is, and I'm okay referees making a mistake and missing things, they're human, but when it comes to stuff like this, that therefore then as a byproduct is encouraging players to stay down and hold their head. Because it's then, well, if I stay down and hold my head, the referee's missed it, but it will get reviewed by the video ref and will get the penalty, get the ball back, and they could have a man sent off for 10 minutes. So when you miss them live, a byproduct of that will be that players will stay down and hold their heads to get reviewed, and we're going to be back to where it was last season, a couple of seasons ago, with people holding their heads, and that's the problem with it.
And this was not. This wasn't Eckersley staying down. This was only because he knocked on.
Eckersley got up straight away.
If he plays the ball, if he doesn't drop it and he plays the ball, then this is completely swept under the carpet. One of the worst tackles of the day.
It might even be Skipper Sky Sports wanting to show the part of the big hit, and then it's actually, we've just shown the hands of the big hit. It's just come on up the screen and might have been a bit high, and then they've reviewed it after that.
My issue with this is, what's the mitigation?
There's a rapid loss of height, isn't there? There's a loss of height. There's a
loss of height, but we've just seen Cade Cust.
Yes,
red-carded
absolutely.
With a loss of height.
I'm 100% with you. There's no reason why this isn't a red card.
And it's 1-on-1.
Because there's no arm wrap.
Let me jump in here. One thing I've noticed this season, not just in this game, not just in Rivals round, but in the opening rounds we've had so far this season, I've seen a couple of cards given. When compared to last season, they would always explain the process, right? So a referee would, for example, call them over and say, there is direct contact to the head, it is forceful and dangerous, which is a red card. However, there is a mitigating factor in that there's a rapid loss of height. That brings it down to a yellow. You're going for 10 minutes to show them the yellow card. And even if you didn't agree with the decision, because the referee had told you his thought process step by step, here's what it is, it is a red, but this is why it's going to be a yellow. Even if you didn't agree with it, you could go, all right, I don't agree with it,
reason,
but I can get behind the reason. He's explained it well. This season, I'm seeing a lot more of just, it is high, but there is mitigation. You're going for 10. And it's like, what was the mitigation? I didn't see any mitigation. They're not explaining what the mitigation is. They're just saying there was mitigation. I'm like, there's no mitigation. They just whacked him in the head. But they've done it a couple of times where they're not explaining it.
Yeah, there was
they're
one
just saying it's mitigation.
There was one in the first few minutes on the Leeds Salford game. And you think, well, is the mitigation that it's the first few minutes of the game?
Yeah, the 13, wasn't it, for Leeds?
Yeah.
Can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
He smashed somebody. And he went, but there is mitigation. And I was thinking, where's the mitigation? It's not lost height. It's a direct shot to the head. Couple seasons gone by, that was a red card.
Well, if he said what the mitigation was, I mean, I'm not saying that there was no mitigation. There must have been for him to give a yellow. But just say what it was.
Well, this is what I mean, but I think they're leaving it very vague to kind of avoid the criticism, because if you go like, oh, there's a rapid loss of height, and it's like, there's no rapid loss of height. Yeah. So they're just kind of going, I think what's happened is,
too many red cards.
The RFL and referees are probably agreeing what we were saying in this podcast last season, where we're saying we don't want that to be a red, we think that's a yellow. Yeah. They've reviewed it and know that, but to protect their own back, they're just going, well, just say it's mitigation and bring it down to a yellow.
Yeah. Well, that was what I was going to say. Obviously here, do you think it plays in refs' minds that actually I tried to wave this on and it probably should be a red card?
So change it to a yellow?
Yeah. No, it doesn't look as bad on yourself. I don't know.
Because if you miss a straight red card like that...
No, because I don't think that Chris Kendall will have decided this is a yellow card. I think the video ref will have decided it was a yellow card. I don't know how, and we will talk about Cade Cust later, I don't know how you can look at these two incidents and give them different punishments.
My bigger issue is, well, we might as well talk about it now.
This one's worse.
Sam Walters gets a yellow card later on. And yes, there's head contact. And
it's a yellow in today's game.
Yeah, and it's a yellow in today's game. The game that I grew up watching, it wasn't a yellow, but it is now, and you know what, you got to live with that. I don't know how these are punished the same. No. I don't know how this gets 10 minutes and Sam Walters gets 10 minutes.
No, and Cade Cust gets a red card.
Yeah.
Because this is worse than Cade Cust's.
But it happened again. We had this, going back to a couple of seasons ago when Joe Sharrock used to play for us in the Hull KR game. And he smashed Mikey Lewis, but in the other quarter, semi-final or whatever it was, Sione Matauti absolutely whacked someone in the head, but got a yellow. And it was, how are these two different and got different punishments, like you're saying?
Well, this one, so Cust, I know I don't like freeze frames and things like that, but Cade Cust, half a second before contact, isn't trying to put a big shot on. No. He's trying to catch the ball, and then he turns into contact, and it looks worse than it is. But his shoulder, no attempt to wrap, shoulder direct to the chin.
It's a red card.
Red card, fine. Well, that's shoulder direct to the chin with no attempt to arm wrap either.
The only difference with that
is he's lined him up and done it.
Yeah.
There's that, and I know, okay, fine, maybe he wouldn't have hit him in the head, but he's still shoulder charge, lined and driven into it where Cust didn't. He's driven into a shoulder charge directly to the head. I don't know how this was a yellow card and not a red.
And I don't like the idea of, I don't know how it's changed. It's putting a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. The fact that just go, there's mitigation. And a bit like,
I
feel like you're protecting your back there by just saying it.
It's
a yellow card offence. Just say it's a yellow card, but then they don't want to do that because then that shows what they've been doing the last 2 seasons is wrong. They've been given red cards when they should have been yellows.
Never mind last 2 seasons, Louis. Lunchtime.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, they sent somebody off for the exact same thing. Well, when there was loss of height for Cust.
It's when you compare it and you look at the Walters one, which was 5 minutes into the second half, if that. Venison slips. genuinely slips.
And he gets straight back up, and there's no thing there. Well, I don't even think the Saints players are. Tristan Saylor asked for 10 minutes, which you're not supposed to do. But the rest of them were just thinking penalty, move on.
But for me, I always look at and it's hard to judge intent. But Walters' hands are low. They're in a wrapping motion. Your hands are open.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of Saints fans saying this one should have just been a penalty. But in today's rules, it's a yellow card.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair enough. That is just, we're trying to clamp down on head contact. If you accidentally hit someone in the head, they've slipped, you've lined up the ball or the chest or the stomach or whatever you want to try and tackle, they've slipped and you've hit them directly in the head, then it's a yellow card. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but we need to know what rules we're playing by. And I'll go back to, again, we've been on about this now for a good couple of seasons, but I actually think the refs at the minute don't actually know what the difference is between a red, a yellow and just a penalty for head contact. And it used to be, well, there's mitigating factors, but now when you can just say, well, there's mitigation, so it's a yellow, or what's the mitigation? I'm not going to tell you. I don't like it.
That one of Walters is a yellow card. Let's be honest, let's call a spade a spade. That is a yellow card.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how that's the same punishment as what Mbai did, which was way worse.
So Mbai should be a red and that's a yellow.
I think so, if we're being consistent.
And his Cuss a red. I know we'll talk about Hull Derby.
Yeah, Cuss deserved a red card.
Yeah, I thought that was a red card.
Cuss deserved a red card. If we're not giving that a red card, we'll not give many.
No.
All year.
I just look at it. If Walters is a yellow, Mbai's has to be a red.
Of course it does.
If Walters is just a penalty, well, yeah, you can maybe say Mbai's is a yellow, if that's where we're drawing the line.
Yeah. Unless you're making a card in between yellow and red, which I don't want to do at this point. It's too complicated.
Let's throw an orange. Right.
You've got a tangerine. You've got a tangerine, you've got burnt orange, and you've got to stay 60 seconds longer in the sin bin. Let's not get into that.
Yeah, they'd love that one there. Right. 3 minutes after, Wigan score again. Now,
12 on 12. I said to my dad at this point, I said, I don't mind if we concede when we're a man down, but when it's 12 on 12, we've got to keep it tight.
Yes.
That's what I said to him. And that's what they didn't do. You know, they'd actually gone through the period where they were a man down, and it was only short. They'd survived the period where they were a man down. They knew they were going to get 4 or 5 minutes where they were a man up. They've got, when it's even-handed, they've got to keep it tight.
Yeah.
That's just what they didn't
and
do.
try and put the threat on when you're 13v12.
And they let us score while it was even. 12 on 12.
So it was the 47th minute. Walters had been off for 3 minutes, I think it was. And we set up just on that left post again, just outside it, like we talk about the importance of that. And it's so tough to count numbers. Now, I just want to, if you're going back and looking at it, just look at how perfect this setup is. You see, if you're a defender, you see Smith and December, and then people lurking behind them. Smith has got Field sat behind him, and December's got Wardle sat behind him.
Plus, there's still a winger
and there's still a winger.
There's still a winger to think about as well, isn't there?
But as it plays on and it gets to Smith, the movement of December and Wardle just running at Matt Whitley, who we should point out is playing centre here, but he is a second rower by trade.
Yeah.
You see Wardle appear on your outside, December running at your inside shoulder. The defender, I think it was Whitby defending this side.
It was, yeah.
Is now going to have to deal with December. And then you see Jay Field just to pop out of nowhere through the gap.
I think there's a try.
Whichever, yeah.
There's a few tries possible here. I think, if we give it to Wardle, we probably score. If we give it to December, he probably scores. And if we give it to Field like we do, that's the actual plan move where he scores untouched. But I think any option here is going to be difficult to defend because you've got defenders in two minds. And both ways.
This was delicious.
It was delicious.
It was absolutely delicious, this. Watching it, just made me go, oh, yes, I was absolutely loving this move. Just
and this is what...
from out of nowhere, December makes the haul, Fields goes straight through. Something about a play going straight through untouched.
When they're untouched, yeah.
Well, on a move as well, when they go over untouched on a move, they just slide in untouched.
Do you know what's so good about this? Obviously, where we sit on like the 30-metre line, 35-metre line. I don't know about you, Matty, but I know definitely from Man and Lewis's position, you just saw the gap open and Field hitting it at full speed.
Yeah.
And I was already celebrating at that point.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, there is no way this hits the wrong hands. They've read it perfectly.
They've done it perfectly, haven't they?
Yeah.
And this was always the plan.
Yeah.
All straight off the training ground.
Straight from the training ground, isn't it?
And you've obviously seen something.
Like I said, you could hit a few different options and score tries, whatever. But this was definitely the plan.
So 18 points to 2.
Yeah.
While we're down to 10 men, nothing else really happens. We get back to the point where Sam Walters comes back on. And he's been on for maybe 5-10 minutes before Saints get their first try. From centre field, they work it out to the left-hand side. And you mentioned something, Matty, after the game about the, obviously, Miskey and Eckersley partnership, that it's still new.
It's a brand new partnership and they've not been together that long. You would have expected Miskey and Kieran, who had a good partnership last year. Miskey and King before that had quite a good partnership.
Even with that, Kieran's played a lot with Eckersley on the wing.
Yeah, they did a bit where there was those two together, but these two ended up attacking the same player or defending the same player or something like that. So, as much as you can say, and I know, Lewis, you say this a lot, and I do as well, if they've had to work it out to the last blade of grass and score with a great finish in the corner, with a great pass, you can understand that, and I can. There's still a reason, and the reason here was that we both jammed on the same player, and that's going to happen when you've got a brand new partnership. You don't quite trust each other perfectly. You've not quite got that understanding yet, but I'm sure that'll come. And it's a fantastic ball from Sailor. Really fantastic ball, really a money pass. And we're so accustomed to these flying finishes now. You spoke about it last week. I really enjoyed listening to you two last week talk about the Burgess try, where he was flying into the corner and getting it down, keeping his control of all his body. We're used to seeing that now, when actually it's still breathtaking when you see these tries scored.
You know what I thought about after the podcast, and I regretted not saying it? The Burgess one, you see it so often, you're more surprised now when they don't score.
Yeah, you're right.
Because when Burgess scored, me and you went, he's got that down.
Yeah.
And you just sort of hoping he's caught his foot in touch early. With this, I thought, Lewis Murphy scored. I almost didn't know why he checked it. And obviously you have to, because it's flying in the corner, but
it was right in the corner.
You're so accustomed. It's like the Marshall one in Vegas when he dropped it. You were so surprised that they drop it.
This goal kick was a big goal kick for the young lad. Was Whitby's taking goals?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, okay, it's 18-6. That's 2 scores. And there is something, I know it would still be 2 scores, but there is something so symbolic about 12 points. Because then you think, right, you have to kick both your goals. Yeah. We could always get a 2 points or a drop goal if we need it at any point. And I remember being, I think, was it 10 points to 8 up or something like that in the Challenge Cup semi-final that you mentioned before, Lewis, at Headingley in the pouring rain. And Brad Schneider kicked a goal off the touchline.
Yeah,
and
he did.
Everybody went up. And this was the same. The away end went up, and I thought that sort of thing changes the game even more than the try. The try gives you the momentum, but that goal doubles it almost. I know it's only adding 2 on the scoreboard, but actually kicking the goal from the touchline, all of a sudden, I know it's worth 6, and a try under the sticks is worth 6, but it's double the momentum. Just because you kicked a goal from the sideline, everybody's fired up then. So I did think at that point, that was the first time where I thought, we're not home and dry. Whereas if he'd missed that goal, I would still be confident.
Momentum's a funny thing in sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird what gives you it.
It is. It's weird how it changes, throughout the course of the game.
Yeah.
I remember, I thought the 2 tries, and obviously we moved on in the second half, but I did think 2 scores was important in the first half. Because Saints, as we'll probably talk about once we've done reviewing all the tries, we'll talk about each team, Saints made a lot of errors in that first half.
Yeah.
Very uncanny, just simple drop balls to the player, the ball, dropping ball in contact, whatever it was. And I thought, they can't do that in the second half. They can't be as bad with the ball handling. So we are going to get more Saints attack at us. They're not going to turn easy ball over like they did in the first half. So I think being the 2 scores was important.
The thing about 2 scores is, as well, is if you're Helens going in and you're behind by a try, all right, lads, we're not playing great though.
Probably behind by a try. A bit like us at Hooker.
Yeah, if we tighten it up, we can get at these.
Yeah. They've just lost Dupree. They've got no props. We can get at these.
Yeah. If you go to 12 points, you're not only thinking we have to get 2, we actually have to get 2, convert them both, and then get the next point.
Get the drop goal or 2 points.
Yeah. And like I said, with the field try then, you then go in, we can't just get 3, you're going for like, you have to get 4 tries, and it suddenly becomes like...
Well, we'd missed a goal at this point. It was still only 3 scores. But the way Saints have played in the games they've lost this year, which is only a few, but they've gone behind early and then kind of had a bit of a big 10 minutes and fought back into games. And so you think if you're only 6 points in front when they have that big 10 minutes, they'll probably beat you. Whereas if you're 12 or 14 in front and they have that big 10 minutes, they'll fall short, which is what happened.
Yeah. 5 minutes later, now obviously Daz Clark jumped out from 9 and got a bit of a quick play of the ball. Plays the ball, Parsi jumps in at 9, and there's a couple of things to mention with this. Obviously I want to talk defensively first, that we just seem to play a little bit early. We sort of push in defence. Farrell and Walters both push up and almost forget about
there's a reason why
they play the ball. There's
a reason why we all went the same way. Because this is Cruz Lehman's man who scores.
Yeah.
And Cruz Lehman cannot effect the tackle on Parsi. And it would be a difficult tackle anyway, because Parsi's a big boy, but it's Lehman's job to tackle Parsi first up here before he gets a run up. He can't do that because Darryl Clark's got hold of him. And we've seen this before. Warrington used to be the best at this. Play the ball, then hold the first marker in. I think if this went up to the screen, as can you just check up, I'm going to send it as a try, can you just take an obstruction? I think there's a 50-50 chance this gets overturned.
It pushes him off balance, doesn't he? And as he's kind of leaning back, he kind of goes in front of him, Parsi, to score.
He needs to make a bit more of a meal of it, which I feel bad saying.
If he throws himself to the floor, this gets overturned.
I agree. I don't think this, and there's not been much talk about this, but if you look, it's textbook obstruction because he just pushes him out the way.
But if Lehman can affect that tackle, obviously he only just gets to the line, Parsi, and Lehman only grabs him maybe 2-3 metres into his run.
But he doesn't have to definitely stop him. It's the George Delaney thing from earlier, where they chalked off Smith's try. He's not had a fair chance to tackle him because he's been impeded by an offside player.
Well, that was a part of my thought when I watched the game back, because I actually didn't notice this at the time.
No.
It was only watching it back when we'd got back home that I looked and I thought, you know what? Considering they overturned the Delaney one, I thought he'd have checked it.
Yeah. But Lehman don't make a meal of it.
Yeah.
He tries to carry on. He does the noble thing. He tries to still stop it. So he gives it straight away. If he falls to the floor and appeals, and we all ask the ref, he probably checks it.
So that angle there, so I know we're just watching the game as we're talking about it, that angle there, we're kind of looking at it, not from behind the goal, behind the goal line, but just off to the side a little bit.
Corner.
In the corners where you see it, he kind of pushes him, and as he's off balance and leaning back, Parsi goes and he has to come in a bit later than he would normally. He can't get bodies in front.
Yeah.
He's tackling from the side, from the behind. And that's why he can fall over. He's not had a chance to get bodies in front and get chest on chest.
And wrap the ball up.
Exactly.
They convert. Should talk about it. 18-14. Wigan.
Your brother said this had shades of Hull FC, and I actually agree with him. The Hull FC home game, where you think, we're hanging on a bit here, we're tired, we're down on troops, we've had a few injuries in the game. If we get over the line, fantastic. If they score and go ahead, we're not going to have a counter punch.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to get back off the canvas and punch back.
Yeah.
Once the game started getting to this point now, 77 minutes, I started thinking, we're close enough to the finish line to hold them out now.
Yeah.
We can do it.
If all this had happened 10 minutes earlier...
Yeah, I think we'd have been struggling. You know, if the game's 90 minutes, we might have been struggling. I was thinking, obviously we then get gifted a try, which kills the game. But, you know, at this point I'm thinking, they can't score again because we haven't got the energy to go back at them.
No.
We had a really tough game last week.
Yeah.
Really tough. And Hull KR didn't start very well either. And we'll talk more about them later. They had a good win, but it was hard work. That was a big game last week, Hull KR against Wigan. Big game. Really big game.
Yeah. Final try, we should talk about it. Harry Smith, from about the halfway line. High kick up. Buys us a bit of time with the height. But I do want to mention something that goes unmissed with Bevan French. And it goes unmissed with Zach Eckersley, and Miski's done it multiple times for us, and Marshall does it a lot. We're actually, when we're under pressure, they just put an extra 10% in. Lehman did it at Hull KR when he put his kick and chase right at the end. Bevan French gets 10 yards in front of everyone else and then stands on the 20-metre line and says, actually, I'm just going to follow you. You might be able to skip across, but I'll follow you, and you won't get any distance down ground, rather than be able to pick up speed. And
because didn't you feel like the best chance for Saints at this point was to high bomb? Yeah. Sailor had dropped one where Field probably had him covered anyway, but he dropped one where he was going through, and Whitby was putting him up with snow on them, but they were coming down with snow on them. So I thought the best chance for Saints to get the winning try was to get around halfway, 40 maybe, and put the bomb up and challenge for it in the air. I thought that was the best chance. So limiting meters was important at this point.
Yeah, definitely. French gets up there, Zach Eckersley gets up there, and it sort of means Sailor is in two minds. Does he try and go round someone? Does he try and go through someone? Just find ground? Sort of skips across the line, and French makes a really good tackle. Takes his arms. Sailor drops the ball. Eckersley to Miskey, and Miskey goes in. And that's game wrapped up, really.
I'm so glad it was Tristan Sailor that did this. I don't want to be funny. I don't want to wish anyone ill fortune in their career. And when England play, I'm a huge Jack Welsby fan, and I think for them to move Welsby out of position for Sailor, and all the hype that when they bought him, and they were going to get the next Bevan French or Jay Field. Well, those lads actually played NRL games before the age they were at. They're not 26 years old with 6 games under the belt in the NRL. These lads came with...
I just want to point out Origin games. Games when
your main stars were playing Origin. Yeah, when Reece Walsh was playing Origin. Yeah. So, I would not have moved Jack Welsby. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's a great fullback. And I wouldn't have moved him. And I feel like for them to move Welsby, you'd get a bit worse out of Welsby. And also, this lad, Sailor, what do you do with him? You sign him, you say you're going to be the next Bevan French, and then he comes and performs like this on Good Friday. And this is after you've already had to move his position twice.
I was surprised the other week when they dropped Lomax. I thought if they were going to play Whitby, they would have played him with Lomax and Welsby. Now, whether that means Sailor has to go and play on the wing, or...
Well, Whitby's now the next big thing, isn't he? And he's a great talent.
Yeah, I've heard really, really good things about him from people.
He was the best player off field since
I agree. And the whole conversation right now is build a team around Whitby for the future. Fine, they should do that, but they've got to be patient with him. They've got to be patient with him. They can't expect him to play every single game, especially if games like this, and be 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 every single game. We had it with Harry Smith.
We had it with Farrimond.
And the fans turned on Harry Smith, and they should never have done. And we were saying, I know it was a bit before the podcast started, but that was still kind of hung over. There was a bit like a cloud over Harry Smith when we started. And
that cloud's actually still hanging over Harry Smith.
That's why we started calling him the General and bigging him up, because we realised how good he was. And actually, you could have a similar situation with Whitby. If he comes into a player like Harry Smith does, then they've got a great player on their hands. They've got to be patient with him. I'm sure they will be. They've got to be patient with him.
Yeah, definitely. Should we just have a quick look at a couple of players first? Well, this section's been long, but obviously we've had a very, very big win, and Good Friday's always worth talking about. First one I want to talk about is Harry Smith. He got Sky Man of the match. Not often...
He got 5 Wigan Way points.
Yeah. Not often he gets...
more important.
That's way more important. What'd you get? You have to give that medal back to Sky. Yeah. 5 Wigan Way points. No one's taking them off.
We don't ask for him back.
We need to make a trophy for Jake Wardle last year, and then whoever wins it this year, give him a trophy.
I completely forgot where we were going at.
Harry Smith.
Did he just boss this game?
Yeah.
And again, we could talk about Field and French. I think Field's been very, very good this season. I think French is still coming into it. He's trying to peak it when it matters, really, for me, watching him. You can't expect these players to be great every game and whatever, and I want Bevan French at his best in June, July, August.
Absolutely. Oh, no, later than that.
Later. I'm thinking,
later than that even.
Is it September, October now, grand final this year?
September, October.
But are you surprised that Harry Smith bossed this game?
No. I'm not, because I watch him every week.
Are you surprised, Lewis, that Harry Smith bossed?
No, he does. The bigger the game, I think the better he plays. He takes it into his own. I think I agree with you, Tom. I think it was brilliant. I thought I was saying it. I just kept on, and again, I know obviously Matthew sit a bit further down than us in the stands, but we would just look there and we just kept on looking at each other going, it's Harry Smith again. And he was putting the box kick in, doing the right thing. Obviously, he gave the pass for Jay Fields' try, which I said was a delicious try before. His defence in this game, Sheridan's not a slouch of a second rower. And he stood up in defence to him, trying to go over the top of him, and he put some good shots on. He made some fantastic tackles in his defence. He's not the biggest half-back in the world, but putting shots on. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want to dive into the whole game because we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But we were watching that, and some Saints fans in the pub telling us that's why he should play instead of Harry Smith. And I'll say it again,
Magic Michael.
Magic Mikey. Harry Smith has to play, and the conversation isn't Harry Smith or Mikey Lewis. You need a long kicker, and you need a general, and probably the only other one in the league is Mark Sneyd.
We know that it's going to be Harry Smith playing for England. We know it's because he's the only option.
Yeah, so good defensively, controlled exactly where we needed to be. Should have had a try in the first half, which is something else that he started to add to his game. A little bit of a step and go himself. He did it at KR, and he did it again in this game.
Yeah,
kicking game on point. Drilled us into touch a couple of times when we didn't have momentum, and just killed the game. Just the simple things, but they're so underrated.
He does all simple things really well, doesn't he? He's really good.
I think he lets Bevan French and Field be better players.
Absolutely. And another person who does that, who I wanted to mention, was Brad O'Neill. And I know I mentioned he didn't miss a beat earlier. I like Lehman and I like Forber. They had a lot to the team, but we are a different team when Brad is at 9.
Yeah. We're ruthless with Brad.
We are so much... I don't know what the word is. Maybe it's solid. We're
disciplined.
Yeah.
We just play.
Work might be boring.
Yeah.
But that's what
effective. I also think we're more effective. There's a couple of times Lehman likes to play. He likes to get his head up and run.
It's almost like predictable, but like we used to say in 2010 when Michael Maguire was in charge, it's predictable, but stop it.
It's predictable, but there's 9 options.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
It might be predictable. You know what we're going to do, but stop it. Like that Lee right to left play. Charlie's got to score in the corner. Stop it. You can't. That's to me, that's how we are when Brad's playing.
Yeah.
We're predictable, but stop it.
Someone asked me the other day when they didn't really know much about it. It was so he's not a fan of Wigan and went, has he got a bit of a grub in Brad O'Neill when you watch him every week? I said, he's not grubby. I said, he just loves defending.
Yeah.
I said, he's no grub, there's no malice. You watch him, he's not a dirty player. He's not giving elbows on floor or doing anything he shouldn't be doing. I said, he just loves hitting people and throwing them about.
And what our mate Johnny said on that round table before the Catalan final, he doesn't just make 40 tackles, he makes 40 tackles what count.
Yeah.
Big tackles.
They hurt.
Yeah.
Other guy I want to talk about, Sam Walters. Absolutely everywhere this game.
Yeah, we kind of already said, didn't we? But Bright Walters being
65 minutes, was it? He played at front row.
65 minutes, 40 odd tackles, most carries out of any of the forwards, most metres out of any of the forwards. The only 2 players to make more metres in general were Miskey and Marshall, who obviously don't have to do the defensive work that he did. Yeah. Both of them did it off more carries. Walters didn't make an error, and the one penalty.
He didn't miss any tackles, I don't think either.
No, didn't miss a tackle.
I already say that, sorry.
Phenomenal effort.
Yeah.
Some other players that just got missing. Cade Ellis again, phenomenal.
Well, I was going to actually say this. There's a couple more players I want to talk about because Field's obviously fantastic. I mean, they were all great. Cade Ellis, I was going to talk about Cade Ellis, but he'll crop up in the next section. So we'll talk about Cade Ellis then. Miskey, getting 2 tries. Really important. And his defence again, apart from the one moment where we said he had the miscommunication with Eckersley, his defence was great again. And just Miskey and Marshall, so good from yardage.
Yeah.
And I was reading, somebody asked Willie Peters, why did you miss so many tackles against Wigan? 55 tackles. And he said, well, yeah, we did miss a lot of tackles and we've got to be better in that regard. But that stat can be a bit misleading because when you've got somebody like Marshall carrying out the ball, it's really hard to get hold of him first time because he's so good at that.
He just targets you and then just drifts onto your shoulder.
And actually what he was saying was every team will miss tackles against Marshall and Miskey as well. You know, when they're coming out from yardage, it's very tough to tackle them first time up. You know, they make a lot of people miss with the first contact and spin away. And do you know what? We're lucky to have those two as wingers. Really lucky to, especially Marshall. He's underrated, isn't he?
Yeah.
Goes under the radar sometimes. I know he's a top try scorer, but he does kind of fly under the radar because it feels like he's finishing everything. But he does so much hard work.
There's one other player I want to mention, and for a slightly different reason. Obviously, we've had Junior December down. This is his second full season, really.
Yeah, probably about this time last year where he had the ISA injury and he broke into the team properly.
We'd seen a bit of him before that, and then he was in the... What I've liked about him in the last few weeks is he's having 7 and 8 out of 10 performances.
We're not noticing him.
Yeah.
For any reason.
And now we all know we can have the moments where he runs over the top of people and he hits the massive tackles and the really strong physical athlete that he is. But just almost the boring side of the game, just make 30 tackles.
Yeah, and a few people actually commented to us and said, "Oh, you think Nsemba was a bit quiet in that game?" And a few of the Saints fans were saying, "We kept Nsemba quiet, we bottled Nsemba and all this." Why do you think Field scored his try?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to deal with him.
Yeah.
And Field will score a couple more like that in the next few weeks, and then people will be worrying about him, and December will crash over, and he'll go.
That's how it's always been with us.
I can genuinely see maybe in 4 or 5 weeks, Field keeps scoring a couple more tries, similar play, or Wardle gets a couple, and people start to turn the attention.
Somebody else will be in. How many times do I mention the final at Tottenham? It feels like we talk about it every week, don't we? They fly up on Field because he's scored 1,500 tries in 10 games, and the space is out wide for French.
Yeah.
And Field ended up scoring that one, ironically. But they only score that because they fly up on Field. And the ball goes to Thornley and the rest is history.
Right. I think that wraps up that first section. Sorry it was a little bit long, but it's always worth talking about Good Friday wins. Especially when they followed up from a win away at Hull KR. That was a big performance. And
we're in a good place, haven't we, with them 2 wins.
Looking a little bit forward onto next week, onto next week's game, Hull FC away. This is massive now.
Tough game this with Falls missing.
If we can get 3 from 3 over the Easter period,
We'd be delighted. Yeah, be delighted.
And then a week off. Is it a week off then?
No, it's Magic.
Then a week off.
So both Hulls and Saints
and
Wire about. And then obviously, winning that Wire at Magic as well. That would be 4 from 4 during this.
Some 4, that's a tough month, isn't it?
It is.
That's a tough month. And if you were to say at the start of the season you were going to win them, you were 2 from 2 with a chance of playing Hull FC on Wire.
Yeah.
Without Thompson, without Havard, without Maygaard now.
Dupree.
Without Dupree, you'd have gone, oh, wow.
Well, Dupree be back for Wire, but yeah.
If I said to you at full strength, you're going to play both Hulls, Wire and Saints. Back in 4, consecutively on the bounce. Would you take 3 from 4 for a win? You'd rip my hand off.
Well, if the 2 Hull games were both away, which they are,
yeah.
Yes, definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're 2 from 2, if we can get 1 from the next 2, obviously I want to win them both.
I'd love to win both of them, I think, yeah.
But I'm still in a position where I'd be happy at 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go through the news. Matty, this is your little section. What's caught your eye down under? 3 things what have caught your eye.
Yeah, first I'm going to go with Mitch Moses for the Parramatta Eels. He's been injured. Feels like he's always injured for a while, then he comes back and he's always...
He loves an 8 to 10 week injury.
He loves a return as well. It's fitting, really. I know it was Easter Monday, not Easter Sunday, but that there was a return of Moses, and fantastic performance from him. And they got the win, which they've been sorely needing. The Eels have needed a win. They got a big win Easter Monday against Tigers.
They've been dreadful, aren't they? Well, without him.
Without him, they've been dreadful. They've been rudderless without him. And he's come back, leader that he is, inspired them to a win. Do you think he plays for the Blues?
Well, obviously the conversation. Well, he might play instead of Cleary.
Really?
Cleary's been there several times and not performed the way he needed to.
You're not dropping Nathan Cleary, don't be silly.
But more, you got to remember, Moses stepped up last year in a game decider,
and
won it. He was the best player on the field. It's almost a case of, can you not pick him?
Moses has got the credit in the blue jersey.
It's whether you can just pick them both.
I think I'd be picking them both.
Who else would normally play 6?
Well, Luai or Nico Hines, maybe.
Nico Hines tried it, didn't played him at centre. Luai, I don't think he'll play. No, he's not at Penrith. I think Moses and Cleary could be a partner. Partnership.
Could be a good partnership, that.
Right, what else has caught your eye?
A try from Ray Stone. Ray Stone got a double for the Dolphins, actually, which is... I mean, the commentator was incredibly shocked. I think Ray Stone was just as shocked. You were saying he was being a bit rude, the commentator, but Ray Stone was just as shocked. And the second try in particular, I think it was the second try he scored, it was an outrageous flick pass from Nicarima.
It was a right to left, wasn't it, that got to Herbie.
It got blown up.
Tried to beat his man. Was sort of held up.
Come back inside.
Threw it to Nicarima.
Nicarima does an outrageous flick pass, channeling his countryman Benji Marshall to get Ray Stone in, who then charged under the sticks and then ended up adding a loan to it, didn't he? So, big win for the Dolphins. That was against Storm. Or Gus Gould would say, big win for the Dolphin against the Storm. He always says just a singular name for every team for some reason.
Yeah, he doesn't like plurals.
That game where Moses did well, that would have been Eel versus
Storm.
Tiger. Eel versus Tiger. The last one, speaking of Gus Gould, the absolute hero that he is. Not only has he got a great podcast and does the final word and is brilliant at everything he ever does, but he's 3 for 3 now with building franchises.
Yeah.
Roosters, Penrith, now Bulldogs. He's 4 years into his 5-year plan.
He doesn't get the credit he deserves for the Panthers because he'd left before that success came.
Yeah, but he set it up.
Yeah.
He set them up for success.
That's what I wanted to get at.
Anyway, Bulldogs. Canterbury Bulldogs. They had 70,000 fans at their match this week against the Rabbitohs, which is their rival. Now, with there being 8 teams in Sydney, there can be quite a bit of diversity with who supports what team. So the market's saturated, I should say. And there's lots of supporters in Sydney, but they split the market.
Yeah.
The fact that you've got 70,000 on for Canterbury versus Souths, to me, is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's such a good effort. Such a good effort.
Did you say it was the second highest regular NRL game?
Well, I can't think of how would anyone
I think there was a Storm. I think there was
Roosters,
a Roosters Rabbits, and it was to decide who'd finish. Do you remember when they played each other and then they had the home semi?
Yeah.
And it was like whoever won got the home semi.
Maybe that was it then. I don't know, but what an effort that is from the Bulldogs, and this is what we need. We just spoke about rivals round getting loads of fans through the door. This is incredible. What an effort this is. I've been at Bulldogs games before at ANZ Stadium or Accor Stadium as it's called now, and it's a decent attendance, but it looks empty because that stadium's enormous. But that, wow, 70,000. What a effort that is from the Bulldogs.
Do you still have the same coach?
Seraldo.
Yeah,
Everybody
wrestled. Yeah, but he's turned it round.
Listen, you got to implement standards, and it's working. They're going to the top of the league, aren't they?
The top of the league played 6, but on 14 points because they've had the bye, which, if you're a neutral, looks very, very confusing.
Yeah,
because they keep saying they're 6 from 6, but got
7 wins.
7 wins.
Well, it doesn't matter.
But the top of the Premiership, they've still got a long way to go. They've got to prove the finals credentials.
Yeah, but Souths are a decent side.
Yeah.
And I know they're missing the halves, but Souths have started really well. They've been playing well, and they just absolutely dispatched them.
Yeah.
And bring another test. That's all I can say. Bring out another test. Keep bringing on the test because Bulldogs are looking good.
Well, this is it now. I don't think people are being testing the Bulldogs. I think the Bulldogs are testing other teams. It's like, can you beat us?
Can you beat us?
Because they beat some top teams.
Yeah.
And they'll defend really, really well. Should mention in that Bulldogs game, potential England international, Max King.
Oh yeah, he got his first try for about 14 years.
Yeah, it said it's the longest streak currently in the NRL of someone not scoring.
I don't care, he's a prop forward.
Gets over.
He's a prop forward, he doesn't need to score for me. But yeah, Max King, I do want to say last week you said Max King was proud of his English heritage and visited England a lot. He actually lived in England until he was 7.
Seven.
His mum is English, she's from Dewsbury. His dad played, I think, for Bradford, but I might be wrong. It's a team in Yorkshire.
Okay.
And so it's like a Ben Stokes situation, where Ben Stokes' dad coached Workington. That's why he was born in England, lived in England for first 7-8 years of his life, whatever, moved back home. As far as I'm concerned, first of all, he's half English anyway, because his mum's English. He lived in England until he was 7. As far as I'm concerned, that's more than English enough.
Seen what we've done with Victor Badley when he was playing for England.
Yeah, and he's half English as well, but he didn't live in England until he was 7. But he really got into it. For me, it's a case of it's player by player. It's player by player for me. Yeah. I would only want them if they're going to be 100% committed to England. And like Victor Radley is, he gives his all for England, doesn't he? And he really is passionate about representing England. If Max King's going to do that, get him in. If AJ Brimson's going to do that, get him in.
Or at least put him in the question.
Sean Wayne would sort that out. Sean Wayne will get to the bottom of that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But that's what's caught my eye in Australia this week.
Right. Some eye-catching moments there. Lewis, you've had a roundup of the news and all the big stories that are about this week.
I have, and there's quite a few to get to, but I'll try and rattle through them and make it quick. Probably the one people are most familiar with came out on Good Friday, just before the game, that we have signed Christian Wade, a former rugby union and NFL... Well, plays rugby union now, and former NFL.
Yeah, convert.
Yeah, so he plays winger for
Gloucester
Rugby Union, played running back in the NFL.
Yeah, for the Buffalo Bills.
Serious athlete.
Well, you have to be an athlete to be a running back, and he wasn't first choice. I'm not saying he was first choice running back, but he was on a good team, and every single person who plays the NFL is a ridiculous athlete because they have got millions and millions of players to choose from, and only the best athletes make it. So he must be good. He must be explosive. He must be tough.
I actually can't believe how many people have criticised this from Wigan fans because he's a rugby union player. He doesn't cost anything on the cap.
Even if we wanted to extend him next year, it wouldn't count anything on the cap.
I was going to say, is it like 20% or something? It's something
very
small.
Low. Very low.
So that goes that. Now, he's coming in the 1st of May, which is when the end of the Premiership season.
Yeah.
So we're going to have him for the running. That means Miski can actually get off and have potentially this serious
knee surgery.
Serious knee surgery that he's needed.
Which, if we can get Miski right for 26, 27.
Yeah, because he's still got 2 years on his contract. Yeah. But the other side of that is people saying, well, we've got Douglas. Well, actually, at the moment, Douglas is cover for all of the back five, really. If Field gets injured, you're potentially going to put Eckersley there. He's cover for Marshall, Wardle, Eckersley and Miski.
We need somebody. We talk about them recalling Nathan Lowe or somebody like that. Yeah. He's out on loan. Where we get into the...
Well, we need him to play on loan. Yeah. We really need him to play on loan and get some games under his belt. There's no point in him sitting here as a potential backup.
I think it's always weird because everyone's judged his signing before he's even touched like rugby league ball and put on a Wigan shirt. It's like, let him have a couple of games before
he's playing on the wing anyway. He's playing on the wing. He's a winger.
Do you know what I mean?
How different is that?
Yeah. Listen, it was tough for players. We've had NRL rugby union players before, like Andy Powell. It was hard for him to convert. It took him half a season to really...
He was a middle.
The wing's no different than playing wing anyway.
Wing,
you might have to start in a slightly different position or defend slightly differently, but it can't be that much different.
We'll have it working. And if it doesn't work, there's a get out after 6 months anyway. Yeah. Because it's only a short term deal.
Yeah.
So there's a no lose.
Yeah.
Absolutely no lose.
No. So look forward to see how that one goes. Next news coming out of Wigan is Cade Ellis signed a 4-year contract extension. We see on the podcast how big fans we are of Cade Ellis. We think he's the best 30 in the league right now. Having him for another 4 years.
Yeah.
It's good news, isn't it?
Well, I think I said on the tweet that if we were to come up with a consensus favourite player, it'd probably be Cade Ellis. Yeah. Between all three of us, if we had to decide on one, it'd probably be Cade Ellis. Because I'd probably say French, you'd say Smith, you'd say Insen, but whatever. We'd probably end up with saying, all right, let's meet in the middle and say Cade Ellis.
If we all picked our top three,
Cade Ellis would be a top, yeah. And I think that goes for a lot of the people that we go watching rugby with. Yeah. A lot of people, big fans of Cade Ellis.
I was going to say, if you see anyone madly shouting, I love you, Cade Ellis, that's probably me.
Cade Ellis can have your underpants.
That's not me.
That's not me, but
one of our mates.
We know who that is.
You might look at your 13 at any other club, and you can argue that a 13 at a different club is a better passer, or a better this, or a better that. Cade Ellis is the best all-round 13 in the league. And defensively makes 40, 50 tackles a game. He sets that attacking play up, being first receiver, makes so many metres when he goes forward. He keeps us honest, he keeps us going straight. Yep. Looks to play and then just straightens it up. I think he's the best 13 in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I had this conversation again. I mean, my dad's coming in again to this podcast, but I had this conversation with a mate the other day. We were talking about Burgess's try again. Said, "Oh, it was a good finish," and the friend of ours said, "Oh, they've got some good 3/4 on the old KR with Davis, Hiku, Gilly, and Budgie." Yeah, good 3/4. They haven't got Cade Ellis though.
No.
They haven't got Brad O'Neill.
No.
So yeah, you can have great 3/4.
I still think ours are better.
What win you grand final?
Yeah.
Middles.
Cade Ellis.
Cade Ellis. You haven't got Cade Ellis.
Cade Ellis wins grand finals.
Yeah. Brad O'Neill wins your grand final if he's in it.
100%. Next big piece of news before I just run through some like injuries and signings and things like that. JWH, Gerard Hargreaves, has announced he is retiring at the end of this season. So he's done a year, or by the time this season is over, he's done a year in the Super League playing for OKR.
Yep.
And he's going to hang up his boots, and I assume he'll end up going back.
One game against Cade Ellis and he's done.
That's it.
Did he play
That's
then?
actually a joke because he decided in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
To be fair, if you decide that in pre-season, does that not tell you I can't go and do another pre-season?
Yeah.
And that's fair enough.
There is an argument that the pre-season is getting you ready to play this game is harder than... Because you've got to push yourself further than what you're actually going to get to in games. And you know what? You're just at an age where you can't do it anymore.
If he said, I can't do another pre-season, but I'll give you my all this season. Fine.
Yeah, and I think, he's had a great career, hasn't he? Been at the forefront for New Zealand Rugby League for over a decade now.
Whether you like him or you don't.
I don't.
I know you don't.
I'm surprised the disciplinary's not retired him sooner, to be honest with you.
What I was going to get at though was, he's been a good one, and he's been there, and he's been in big games, and he's won premierships, and he's
got sent off in big games. He's been sin-binned in big games. He's made high tackles that haven't gone penalised and been missed in big games.
I'm trying to be nice to the guy retiring here.
We even locked this.
Look, he's done. He's not going to care what I think. He's done a lot more in the field of rugby league than I have.
Something's wrong if he cares what you think, Lewis.
Exactly. No one
been
cares what I think. No one gives a crap about what I think.
Move on before you slander him anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, we wish him all the best in his retirement.
Yes.
Hopefully, he won't take someone's head off. But bit of injury news before then we move on to signings. Williams out for 10 weeks.
Yeah, big loss.
Big loss. Tawai goes without saying England captain. 10 weeks is a very long time.
One of the best players in the league is out for 10 weeks. That's a shame.
And I think
They were just building a partnership with him in Sneed as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
we'll talk about what they're going to do when we go into the game in a little bit, but it's a massive loss.
Huge.
Yeah. Next one, Mickey Mack. Another big one. Out 3 months.
Yeah, that's what happened against us, didn't it?
It
looked
torn
bad.
bicep, wasn't it?
It wasn't confirmed.
But we
Wasn't
didn't know
confirmed.
exactly what it was. But yeah, bad. That's bad timing again because he was playing well.
Yes. Contract news. James McDonald at Leeds. 1 year deal.
Yeah.
Former
Warrior, yeah.
Former Wigan.
What
am I thinking?
He's a good
I
player.
do rate him.
I rate him. I think he's a steady Eddie. But
He's a decent player.
he's a
Steady
I don't
Eddie
think-
might be
yeah.
a bit harsh.
Yeah, he's an 8 out of 10. I don't think he's a Nasemba can potentially.
No, he's not. No.
He
scored 3 tries, didn't he, the other day?
scored 4, didn't he?
I don't think he got over for the 4th.
I'm sure he got up 4.
When he went, we had December coming through and we bought Walters, didn't we? And it's good going, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but maybe if we don't sign Walters, we keep him. There's a space for him at Wigan, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and didn't Bateman go late that off-season or something? And maybe if Bateman had left on November the 1st, maybe we would have kept McDonald or something. I don't quite remember it, but
But
Doing
with
well
that,
at Leeds, though.
yeah, he's doing well.
it's important that they've re-signed him because they're worried about Gannon going, aren't they? There's a lot of talks that
Gannon
he's off.
seems to be going, so it was important that you kept McDonald. Only a year, though. Seems unusual to me. Only a year.
I wonder whether they just have a year extension in his contract.
Maybe.
And he triggered that. So.
Triggered that, and then we'll negotiate it
Yeah,
next
we'll
year.
see next year.
He might want to see what's happening with Brad Arthur, and there's a lot of talk about him leaving.
Yeah, true.
Signing news, Joe Offengoe to Lee.
Yeah, the Tongan, I think he played against England a couple of years ago when we had them games against Tonga. West's and Para player, second row prop, can play anywhere really, 13. He always comes up. If you ever watch the Matthew Johns show, they have this VB, Victoria Bitter, the hard-earned index. This might be something Brad O'Neill will be top of. It basically is...
Like the workhorse time.
Yeah,
it's like carries and tackles per minute.
They track carries and marker tackles and how many minutes you're in the middle of the park, stuff like that. So it's not how many tries you've scored, it's how many
nitty-gritty stuff.
It's that sort of thing. And he was always quite near the top for stuff like that. You know, stuff that goes unnoticed, but if you played the position before maybe, or you've watched a lot of rugby in your life, you kind of think, oh, he's working hard there in the middle of the park. He's doing kind of what we talk about some of the 13s in the competition. We talk about them working, he's worked really hard there.
Yeah.
Like what we talk about maybe Ipape working really hard.
But one thing that's really surprised me about this, and obviously it's not a Lee podcast, but I just want to mention it. For me, I think it was clear that they needed two positions. They needed a prop forward and they needed a standoff. They had one quarter spot, and this might ruin your next bit, but Lee fans were talking about Tom Amorn. They would go and re-sign Tom Amorn. And Beaumont said, well, we didn't want to deal with his agent, and his agent's got a very, very bad rap.
Yeah.
So they've just stay away. But then Lee took a lot of criticism from fans for using a quarter spot on a prop when they wanted to use a quarter prop spot for Tom Amorn.
Well, if you're using the quarter spot on Joe Offahengawi, that's a good use of a quarter spot for me. As far as I'm concerned, he's a cracking player and he adds a lot to the team. It's just what they needed. Yeah, they need to stand off as well. Well, who cares? You say, we've got two holes in our squad that need filling. All right, I'll fill one. Oh no, not that one.
Yeah,
but you still got to fill it.
And I think it's just as hard for them to find a standoff
abroad. I think that's more difficult.
It's more difficult to find it abroad than it is almost here because they don't have any. And anyone that's any good is lined up to take over at NRL because they're struggling for players.
Yeah. Next piece of news signing wise is Cass signed a couple of loanees. I just talked about Tom Amorn. It was announced he's going to Cass, isn't he, before then going to Hull KR.
Yeah.
They signed a couple of loanees.
They bolstered their front row with Jordan Desiree.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Played this week, didn't he? Against Wakefield.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And who was the other one they've signed?
Hugo Salabio.
Jukesy sent me a message when this happened that said Tom Moore's going to be looking to improve this pack. You're going to look around who's going to put their hand up to take a carry. It's going to be Jordan Desiree and Hugo Salabio.
Yeah. It's basically a brand new pack over now.
Right, we need to talk about Jordan Desiree then because we've got this running thing going on. I don't think we've said it on the podcast. Jordan Desiree has got the worst 60 seconds in rugby league history.
Right. Come on the field. Your team's struggling. You're losing at home. You're Catalans. What you don't want to do in your first 2 minutes is knock on. First tackle, first carry you take. First tackle you make, give a high shot. Third thing you don't want to do is when they then give a 7 tackle, 20 metre restart, is take the guy running with the ball, just clean him out and get yourself sin binned.
That is what happened to Jordan Desiree within about 100 seconds. He came onto the pitch full of vim and vigour, knocked on immediately. Then the guy picked it up and started running, got tackled. Next time, he just hit somebody with a high shot.
The reason this is so funny to me and Matty is we were watching it in different houses, and the first two happened, and I rang Matty to say this is the worst 60 seconds of anyone being subbed on. And then he got himself sin-binned 20 seconds later.
For a professional foul. Just so stupid.
And he proper nailed him to the floor as well.
And he's been on like one of those greatest sporting moment programmes or something.
Like when Maguglia said his highlight reel.
No, and then on his way off, Luke Keary gave him a pass on the back and you went, Luke Keary's gone from playing on the biggest stage in the world to now watching Jordan Desiree do that for 2 minutes. But there, he's got to... I mean, he can't make Cass's pack any worse, can he? He's a big body.
Yeah, listen.
If he puts himself about, he's going to improve them.
You just need some support. That obviously with Cass being so small, you actually don't need a massive pack. As long as you can get enough punch to get you what would normally be to the halfway line, you're in attacking ball then. You just need some sort of any get up and go.
Yeah. Jordan Desiree and Tom Amorn and Hugo Salabio.
Along with Joe Westerman.
They'll give you some. It's better than what they had. Let's say that.
Yeah, last piece of news going down under. if you're interested in NRL and you follow that, you probably already know about this, but West Tigers, the standoff Lachlan Galvin, he's in a little bit of hot water at the minute, to say the least. He's gone into favour with the West Tigers.
He's very young, isn't he? He's very young, and this might be worth saying. He probably got an agent telling him what to do.
Yeah,
I don't want to always say that, but probably in the NRL they always have these player managers who always seem to be toxic personalities that are more flamboyant than the players.
I would say it's really important to you because obviously it's same now as what we have, where you can negotiate from the year before. So from November 1st, you can negotiate for the year after. He's got 18 months left on his contract, and West have offered him a contract extension to become the long-term halfback, effectively, alongside Luai.
He's burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
He's come on and he has. Not like Mika Richards, he's actually burst
He has actually burst onto the scene. He's playing really well. Or he was.
And he's turned down this big offer.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
But he's probably being told, when you look at Dylan Brown going to the Knights for $13 million for 10 years, that you could get an 8-9 year contract on $10 million, which is an awful lot more than what he's been offered, and guaranteed money. And rather than take this well, they've then asked him to explain it to the player group. The meeting then had to get cancelled because apparently the player group were just calling it lies and said that he just wants the money, not that he wants to explore options.
Yeah, this is bad, this is really bad.
What I love is players obviously being really, really mature and going to Instagram, taking a photo of his locker.
Photoshopping a snake in it.
Photoshopping a snake in it. There was...
It's not funny.
Show Me the Money was played over the top.
Oh, Here Comes the Money.
Here Comes the Money, sorry.
Not good, this.
Yeah, but then Benji Marshall's come out and tried to defend him and said, listen, he's allowed to explore his options, but then dropped him.
They said the media's bullying him, so he's going to drop him and play Adam Dewey in the halves.
Yeah.
And then everyone went, oh, we'll go and watch Wentworthville, which is the feeder team. Oh, no, it's West Magpies, whatever. We'll go watch Magpies. And I'm not sure he played for them either. But it's a weird one where you just give him the
I was going to say, now it's been reported that the senior leadership team has gone and spoken to Benji and said they don't want him to play.
Oh, these senior leadership teams, we have enough of them in our lives.
But actually to come out and go and speak to a manager about a player wanted to leave, like, I don't want to be funny, half of them have left their clubs for more money.
Yeah.
Like, that's the game.
It's not good this way. This tells you, if something like this happens, it tells you you've got your locker room culture all wrong.
They're annoyed that he's done it at 19. And in their eyes, he hasn't won a premiership.
You can be annoyed. You can't turn on him publicly.
Yeah.
You've got to do this in-house.
And I tell you what,
bad luck this for the Tigers.
Para beat them on Monday.
Yeah.
But today.
Yeah, Easter Monday, yeah. They always play Easter Monday, them too.
They could have really done with Lockie Galvin playing.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those, and people have come out and said it's disrespectful to Benji what he's done, but all the other players, like you're saying, Irving the dirty laundry out all over social media, but that's disrespectful. He's got to walk into press conferences now and deal with all this. He's the face who's got to go and answer these questions. And all to do his coach a rugby team and win games. So that's disrespectful to Benji.
The first season in a long time that you've actually got off to an okay start.
Yeah. Yeah,
you've just tarnished it with this.
You've made it. You've completely ruined your good start.
None of this needed to be in the press.
No.
Even Galvin saying, "I just want to explore my options come November 1." That didn't need to get to the press yet, anyway.
And then the media. They say the media's bullied him. They've not been great. They haven't been great with him.
I'd look more in house,
but it's your teammates are bullying. That's not proper team culture, that either.
Oh, and he's also now offered... He's threatened a lawsuit for bullying, hasn't he? To the club.
This is so...
This doesn't end well.
I can't...
This ends with him getting a release.
Well, I can't see how it ends with him... Well, I don't think he'll play for West Tigers again.
It's the West Tigers loss.
How can he defend in the line with two people outside of him after this?
But the other thing is, he didn't say he wanted to leave. He said he wanted to have a look at his options.
At the end of his contract, which is in 2 years.
Yeah, so he can look from November 1, but he would still be a West Tigers player for next year.
He doesn't want to sign an extension right now.
He doesn't want to sign an extension right now. I think that's fair enough. It's his contract.
Listen, if he plays another 15, 20 games, and suddenly he's got 30 NRL games, he's worth a bit more.
What he's actually done is fine. It's just the reaction to it and how it's been done publicly. That's completely wrong.
Yeah. Right, Lewis. Thank you for the news.
That's the news.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back around the grounds. So, around the grounds, 5 other games in rival round. We started off on Thursday. Wakefield, Castleford. Not seen this derby for a year. And Castleford made the best start of it, 12-0 up at half time.
Grow fonder. I was missing this rivalry.
I missed it last year. Now it's back, I didn't miss it at all. But Cass got off to a great start. 12-0 up at half time. 2 tries from Gary and Sam Wood. Also scoring. Big
Unlike Rowan Milnes, isn't it? Missing 3 goals out of 3. Rowan Milnes is usually a pretty good goal kicker.
Played with 3 tough kicks.
A creepy kicker.
I thought he'd get one of them. Like
Not
a good kicker, but missing all 3. But you've got to put it down to the finish. There was a couple from Gary where he could have got closer.
Yeah, he could have done.
There was one specifically that stands out where he could have got.
The first one he could have got under sticks if he wanted to.
12-0, and then Wakey come out and basically flip the game on its head.
Wakey were always going to come back into this.
Jowett and Smith scored for him. Jowett kicked 2 and then Leno dropped goal to win it.
Yeah, the worst drop goal you'll ever see to win a game of rugby.
To be fair, is there any bad ones if it wins you a game?
You'd be fuming with your mags, wouldn't you? But it must be hard as well because your team's just lost off a drop goal, so you can't really go into sheds and rollick because they're already feeling pretty crap. They just lost a game by a drop goal. But for Bill, you're 12-0 up and then throw it all away and lose when you've scored 3 tries and got it to 12.
Just basically not turn up in the second.
There was a brilliant,
There was
a brilliant clip of like the top of the screen was all the Wakey players celebrating the win. And the bottom was Dejan Arce, and because he tried that drop goal, it just missed at the end.
Yeah, it was a good effort.
It was the ecstasy versus agony of rivals around.
Yeah. First win for Wakefield at home.
Yeah.
Not usually what you expect from a promoted team. You expect them to win at home and probably lose away.
I like that lad with the mullet. Looked like Brad Fash.
Yeah.
Was he a double barrel name or something? He didn't play many minutes, but he made an impact.
Right. Before us on Friday, there was 3 games. We were the prime time slot, 3 o'clock. But at 12 o'clock, the other derby that was played on this day, not as important, obviously, was the Hull FC Hull KR.
The top 2.
Top 2, yeah, but it's not.
Not anymore.
It's not Wigan Saints, though, is it? Let's be honest.
No.
KR winning 16 points to 4 at half time. They went on to win 28 points to 14. One thing I wanted to say to this, Hull FC of last year completely collapsed once Cuss gets red carded, and this ends up being a 40-50-0 game. So it showed that Hull FC have changed a lot of the culture. This is more evidence that they're going to be a team to compete with.
We've said this a lot so far this season, haven't we? There's games where they could have gone missing and been on the result of a very big scoreline, but they've showed a lot of character keeping games. We've said that a couple of times already this season, haven't we?
Yeah. They stuck with Will Price at full back, so that seems to be the way that they're going to go with Cust and Caesar. But Hull KR, once FC were down to 12 men, they were just almost too monotonous. They went into that good field position.
Yeah,
Arthur
Morg picked himself up off the canvas, having been smoked in the first half, and played pretty well in the second half when he came back in. So fair play to him.
Good team, KR.
Yeah, they're a good side.
Good to bounce back in. There's no better way to bounce back after a home defeat to Wigan than go and win the derby.
And we've already spoke about Cade Cuss red card, but we do want to introduce a new segment.
Yeah.
A new award.
Yeah.
Lewis wants to give this award to this person, the Monster Big Man of the Week. Not sponsored by the energy drink Monster, although we are open to.
Monster, any representative from Monster listening to this and want to.
If any of the rivals are listening to this, would we call it the Relentless Big Man of the Week?
Yeah, the Rockstar.
Rockstar Big Man of the Week, yeah. So this is an unsung, underrated big man who's put a shift in, and you want to give it to
Jack Ashworth.
Big favourite player.
Jack Ashworth. It all started because I think about a year ago on the podcast I said, it looks like an half decent black. He runs the ball in quite hard.
Yeah.
So even when they were going through the bad spot, you could always kind of rely on him for kind of trying to put himself about. And then ever since saying that, it's kind of come a bit of he's come a bit of a cult hero of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played well. He played out of position as well, obviously. Went into...
He's got to try.
Like second row.
He's got to try immediately after duty.
I was in the pub giving him a little stick.
I didn't give him a load of stick. I was trying to make a point of the bench is poor.
Oh, here comes Jack Ashworth to save him, and then he immediately scored within about 2 seconds of you saying that.
It was a great kick from Caesar. It was.
Yeah, but he had to have the desire of a Monster Big Man of the Week to put the shift in to get to the ball first.
He did well.
That's why he's our inaugural monster of the week.
These forwards better stand up and make someone stand out next week.
I think now, and hopefully the listeners do this, look at people who are working hard in the middle of the park and see if you think it's the monster of the week. It won't necessarily be in the Wigan game.
Yeah.
But let's try and spot your own monster of the week.
Now, we left our game, went to the pub and watched the final game on Friday. Leeds, Huddersfield.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can say about this. Leeds winning 6-0 at half time. They win 28 points to 6.
Well, Callum Watkins scored on his return.
Yeah.
Ash Handley scored a nice try.
Huddersfield is still struggling.
Terrible. But Tom Burgess scored though.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at this, last try wins. If the game carried on for another 10 minutes, they might have got back into it. They needed 4 more scores.
I don't know where it's gone so wrong for them.
Look at that. Read that back five out for...
Aidan McGowan, Connor Carr, Jake Bibby, Liam Sutcliffe, Sam Halsall.
Well, there you go. Think about the starting 5 that started the season.
Do you think McGillivray would still be playing him?
Yeah.
If he was at Huddersfield?
Yeah.
Well, you get him that team.
But think about the top... Think about the backs that Huddersfield started the season with. None of them are playing. Apart from...
Well, Gaga...
Well, Gaga's playing in the wrong position. That's it, really. Sutcliffe, I suppose he played against us. They've had so many injuries. I don't know what you
just
do.
look
What do you
clueless
do
to me.
Luke Robinson? What do you do?
I don't know. They just look clueless to me.
What can you do, Luke? If you're Luke Robinson, what can you do? With all these players injured and you've not got the right squad anyway. Tanya Milne's trying his 5th different position.
Oh, yeah, he played loose forward in this. Yeah. I'm sure he's a centre.
He's played second row as well. Just a big mess, this, isn't it? Just a big mess. This squad is a big mess. How many injuries they've got as well. It's a big mess.
Well, you pick up injuries when things aren't going well. So you'll always have a look at that. When things are struggling, you end up picking up an injury and whatever. Just an unlucky one or a key player goes down. What seems to happen when things are already bad?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just look like Chris Hill goal last year. He would help Tom Burgess out. I don't even know what to say about Huddersfield. Leeds, fair play. Got you 2 points for all.
I don't think the fans are particularly pleased with the result, with the performance, but they've got to be happy with the result, getting 2 points.
Yeah. Right. Saturday. Lee Warrington. 2 teams, similar positions actually. Still in a rebuild, still in a change of leadership and structure. First thing to talk about was Warrington. There was a lot of conversation about who was going to play in the house with Sneyd. I heard Duffy was going to play there. I heard they've also got Ollie Leyland that they've signed.
Yeah, they extended Steph Ratchford.
And then they pick the most attacking 9 to play in the house. I don't get that.
No, me neither.
And without being rude to Lee, they haven't got a monster second rower that you're worried about putting an Ollie Leyland in against.
No.
Defensively. They've got 2 decent in Ethan O'Neill and Frankie Holton, who are just good second rowers.
Yeah.
Defend well and whatever, but I don't know why you would play Danny Walker though. Has he ever played 6 before?
I don't remember him doing. I just feel like this game, when it got towards the end and Warrington needed to get a try near the end, it felt like they needed someone to just grab the game by the scruff of the neck. It's not good with Duffy, it's not good with Sneyd, he's more of a controller. Like if you had Ollie Leyland on there, maybe.
What? Why would you not play Sam Powell?
Powell's played in the house.
Powell's played 7, hasn't he?
He'll have played 100 games in halfbacks.
He played at least his first 2 seasons in halves.
That's what I mean. So, well, at least then Danny Walker could play at 9 where he's used to and what actually Canberra wanted to sign for 200 grand. So you've got a talented player there at 9. I don't get why you would move.
And when Sam left, I was thinking, you could keep hold of him there. He could be useful. Play 9, play 6, play 7, cover a few different positions, play 13.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at that. That was the one option that I didn't think would happen. If someone told me Sam Powell was to play in the house, I'd go, yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I probably wouldn't have done it, but I really don't get it.
There's something happened in this game, and we were playing cricket, so I don't quite know exactly what happened. But at some point, Ben Curry went into the halves.
Yes.
Why? How could...
Well, I'm guessing Powell came off, and
I know, but
I don't get it.
that can't be the option.
Like we said before, they need to find a solution quick because he's out for 10 weeks, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they need to find a solution quick.
But they've got Steph Ratchford, who they decided to extend the contract, and they signed a young 6 in Ollie Leyland, or 7. And he was good enough to play for Vegas. Vegas. So if he's your backup, then put him in. Williams is injured, put him in. You're not going to be better off by trying to move it round like this. Shuffle everybody round, shuffle your pack, make sure you're going to play Sam Pearl for 80 minutes, otherwise Curry goes in the halves. It just seems a bit wrong, this.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit right with me. It really doesn't.
And this was similar to...
And they can't move Dufty from fullback. He can't play 6.
This was similar to our game, I suppose, really, where Lee were up by 2, 3 scores, and Warrington had a bit of a purple patch.
I'm really surprised at this game. And Lee, it's a massive point, 2 points for Lee, we should say that.
Oh, it's a good result for Lee.
To win, tough game. And they're still not playing at the best. The best
there's
team.
better things to come from Lee.
But I just find it very weird. Very, very strange. Oh, Chandler's back. Should mention. He's been out for a while. So that's a good return for them. He makes a lot of meters for them. Right, should we move on?
Yeah, last game.
Sunday. Catalans.
Well, this was a Saturday night.
Saturday night, sorry.
Yeah, there's no Sunday game this week. You know, a game on Easter Sunday.
Felt a bit weird, didn't it? I know it was Easter Sunday.
Well, it felt like, because Friday's game was at 3 o'clock, it felt like that was Saturday and the games on Saturday were on Sunday.
Yeah.
Very weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. Catalans winning 38 points to 10.
Yes.
16-0 up at half time. Pretty convincing all the way through.
Look at who scored the tries for Salford.
Tiaki Chan and Johnny Vaughan. Chan's try was very, very good.
I liked Chan in this game. I think he's pulling a bit of size. You think he's put a bit of size on?
Yeah.
He's been playing in the middles, hasn't he?
He needed it if he was going to play in the middle.
Yeah. From what I saw of him in the last 2 seasons, really, last season and a little bit the year before when he was still at Catalan, I thought he was a second rower. You know, short, stocky, but would play 80 minutes. They seem to want to play him down the middle, whether that's at 13 or at prop. So you have to beef up a little bit.
Should mention Sam Essay looked alright as well when he played in the Hull derby. What we saw, he didn't do massive minutes, but he looked alright.
Yeah, it's a difficult one though, isn't it? When you're down to 12, you want your best players on, and they resort to SESA and Liam Knight.
We're just wondering, really, how
we deal with the next 2 weeks.
How we deal with the next 2 weeks, how we get through the next 2 weeks. Now, obviously, I don't think Sam Essay will be allowed to play against us this week. I'd be very surprised if we allowed that to happen. So whether or not he plays for us, that's a different story. Whether Chan plays for us, Harvey Makin played in this game. For Salford, I'd rather keep him there because he's only just left. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to need to find some sort of solution.
Yeah, we're in a position now where it's Liam Byrne and Sam Walters who'll be starting the game. Harvey Hill on the bench. Maybe Mago, depending on this injury.
Probably not, though.
Probably not. But obviously we don't know.
Definitely not Dupree.
Definitely not Dupree. Your only other option then is maybe like a Cade Ellis playing there, and that involves moving your spine around. It's not something we really want to do.
Not for me, that.
So we sent these players out on loan. Actually, the ability of having these players on loan is you can recall them.
We might need one of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 2 of them. He likes playing 5 props, doesn't he? Might need 2 of them.
It's not really somewhere you want to go and debut a young lad, is it?
No. Tough. It'll be a tough game.
Very tough.
It'll be a tough game Sunday.
It'll be interesting to see what the squad is in the 21-man squad.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
And it will be really worth keeping an eye on the other squads. I know Salford played before us, so keep an eye on what they put out as their 21-man squad.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we send it out, tell us what you think your 17 would be. Based off the 21-man squad, don't just go and sign 4 players. Someone told me the other day, we could just go and sign someone.
Well, we did sign someone.
Tell me we should just go to the NRL and sign a prop.
We signed a winger.
And I just said, well, where from? But yeah, get your 17-man squad in, and it's not as clear cut as it's been in the last few weeks.
No, you're right. No.
The last few teams have sort of picked themselves. Hull KR was the question of who starts at prop. But other than that, the last 5-6 weeks it's been pretty clear.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a real interesting thing. Looking forward to the game?
100%, yeah.
Massively, yeah. I'm massively looking forward to any game we're going to involved in right now.
Like I say, if we win this one, like we said before, it's massive. Doing you, like you say, already gone back to back. We can get 3, then going to Magic with 3 wins under our belt. Given all the adversity we're facing, like you're saying, with personnel and players.
Yeah.
That's massive for us. That'll be massive.
Just looking at who else people play. Okay, I've got a tough trip to Leeds.
Yeah, Warrington are playing St Helens for the 14th time this season.
That's Thursday, isn't it? Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting game. Warrington and St Helens will be a very interesting game. They've now, obviously, I said last time, they lost to Warrington. They've lost 0 out of 14 now, Saints, against the big 3 other teams since Good Friday last year. They've lost 6 in a row against Warrington. This is going to be their best chance with no Williams.
I tell you what, both them coaches might be under pressure after this.
Yeah, be under a bit of pressure.
Whoever loses might be under some pressure. Obviously, things aren't going great for Warrington.
Yeah, but whoever wins, it's a big boost.
Oh yeah, massively.
You can turn your season around whoever wins.
I'm just looking. I know we've not done predictions for a while, but there's 5 very interesting games. Warrington Saints, Leeds, OKR, Huddersfield, Cass.
You can say that was an interesting game.
Well, it's the bottom 2.
Yeah.
Catalan's Wakefield. I think Wakefield might be able to go and turn them over though.
Depends which Catalan shows up, doesn't it?
Salford Lee. That's the one where obviously massively favouring.
I don't know what to make of Salford. We didn't even talk about it in the news section. I'm sure there's going to be more news by the time we meet up again.
Yeah.
With Salford because it'll be payday soon again.
Yeah. But what I mean is, them 5 games, apart from the Salford League game, they're all very, very close in the table.
Yes.
It's actually like a lot could move around here. A lot could change in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Especially coming up to the semi-finals of the cup.
And Magic Weekend. Anything can happen in Magic Weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Thank you for listening. Matty, Lewis, thank you for coming on.
No problem at all.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.